What's up, everybody? It is Will back here with another race reaction. Today we're going to go back in time and look at the 1970 Nashville 420 at Nashville Fairgrounds. And if I'm correct, this isn't the full race, obviously, of the Nashville 420, but this is the ABC broadcast that they picked up, through early in. I don't know what lap it will be that they actually picked up the broadcast, but we're about to check it out right now. We're about to see what happened in this race, and I'm looking forward to it. 1970 was obviously one of my favorite years in NASCAR history, and I've been going around and, you know, looking back at some of the NASCAR races from the 70s and comparing it to the 80s with my race reactions. And I hope you're looking forward to this. I am. So let's go ahead and get right into this, shall we? Let's go ahead and get started.
Muggy day in the South. On the new Fairgrounds Speedway, Bobby Isaac of Catawba, North Carolina, is leading the Grand National.
Looks like Bobby Isaac just passed J.D. McDuffie there. Just flew by him like it was nothing.
The way one part of America spends a hot summer Saturday afternoon. They come from the city, the farm, and the mountains for the one day of the year when
a lot of people there.
Stars come to Nashville.
I've never been to Nashville Fairgrounds, but I know a couple people that have. And I actually know two people that work there.
Sports crowd in the history of the state of Tennessee. Good afternoon. I'm Jim McKay speaking to you from Nashville. Why has Wide World come here on this particular afternoon? We want to show you yet another corner of the wide world of motorsport. This is a brand new speedway here in Nashville. And although this location is always
if I'm correct, this race took place about halfway through the season, if not a little bit after the halfway point of the season, around race 30. They've raced about 48 races, I think, in 1970, and this race took place after Maryville, Tennessee. So 24, it looks like Cecil Gordon.
In fact, 36 cars started the race. The last time I counted, only 15 were left. And the leader
only 16 cars left in the race. Something must have happened before, obviously, they picked up the broadcast, and before they went live. So they must have had some stuff going on. It's Dave Marcus is in second, Neil Marcus is in third. And I'm surprised that Castle's driving 6. I thought he drove that 06 in 1970.
Spanning the globe to bring you the constant variety of sport,
You wanna make it appear?
the thrill of victory, and the agony of defeat.
I'm good.
The human drama of athletic competition.
I don't know if she wants to watch it, but it looks like we have a bunch of beers.
This is ABC's Wide World of Sports.
Brought to you by Sir Walter Roll, America's quality pipe tobacco. Relax in a man's world with Sir Walter Roll. Sooner or later, your favorite
So I have to get up and open the door.
Brill Cream. That little dab of Brill Cream leaves your hair looking natural. The one that more and more men are coming back to for natural-looking grooming.
Hold on a second. He went out. I didn't even know you were in here earlier. Here you go. You want to go outside? There you go.
Live at the Fairgrounds Speedway in Nashville, Tennessee. This is Jim McKay reporting, and I'm seated now with our colleague on these racing telecasts, Chrissy Kanamaki, the other National Speed Partners. The spin in the straightaway, a car just spun into the pit.
Oh, a car went around.
Number 10, driven by Bill Champion of Norfolk, Virginia. There it is. He very narrowly missed the pit wall.
It's the number 10 car.
Particular position as long as he had
it looked like it happened right in front of Isaac. Just lost it off the corner, went down into basically the garage area there. Luckily, he didn't hit the end of that wall there. Or not hopefully, thankfully.
Bobby Isaac has been locked in a season-long deal with James Hilton for the Grand National Stock Car point lead. There is Bill Champion being led from his car.
Probably had some damage.
Only 10 points apart with Hilton leading going into today's race.
Probably hit the outside wall first, maybe.
Should he continue, will be the leader for that championship. This race began, a little over an hour and a half ago. So let's go back to that moment.
79
and my commentary as we did it at the time on the beginning of this affair. A field of 32 36 cars is just
Oh,
about
wow, so
ready to
they
get
actually,
started
okay, so
on
they
this
have footage of the
USA
start of the
brand new
race.
racing
Okay.
in Nashville,
I didn't know that.
Tennessee. This is NASCAR Grand National Racing. It'll be 420 laps, 250 miles on the steepest banked track in the world. 35 degrees on turns 1,
Yeah, I don't
2,
see any
3,
wing
and
cars
4.
in this
It's
race.
only a
The Plymouth
5/8 of a mile
Supers and
track,
Dodge
so the
Daytonas are
speed
not in
and
this
the action
race.
should be tremendous. That's Leroy Yarborough sitting on the pole.
See,
Car
Richard
number
Petty and
98,
Leroy Yarborough are on the
alongside him.
inside
Car
lane
number
of the
71,
first two
Bobby
rows.
Isaac. The green flag is out, and here they go. It's Yarborough.
That's a big jump by Leroy Yarborough.
Taking the lead. Bobby Isaac is second, and Richard Petty is third. Rookie of the year last year, Richard Cook was fourth, but he has dropped back to fifth.
That's a huge lead to get that on the opening start of the race. Like, that is huge. That's crazy that he got that big of a lead on the first lap. That's a cool angle on the backstretch. I like that. It's pretty cool. I think that's a caution light there on the wall. It's not. Is he already lapping cars? If that's the case, that's insane. Like, you can just tell how much faster
what you were watching and listening to happened about an hour and a half
that
ago.
the leaders
The
are.
beginning of this 250-mile, 420-lap race here in Nashville. This is a live picture again now, a live report. Bobby Isaac, as we said, is the leader in this race, and at this point, according to the official NASCAR
Dave
score,
Marcus
he
in
is
front of
one lap
Isaac in
ahead
the
of car
30
number
car.
22, Bobby Allison. Dave Marcus is third.
J.D. McDuffie in the 70.
Right now. We'll be back in a minute for more of the live action. This is the live action. Bobby Isaac.
There's no Castles in the 06. He's about to go up down there.
Temperature somewhere in the high 90s with a humidity to match. 36 cars started in this race. Less than 15 are on the track right now. Bobby with a one-lap
15, if I'm correct, cars left in the race out of the car that started, which means it must have been just either a lot of mechanical problems or wrecks that happened. So we'll look at the race results. Oh, we got problems for Leroy Yarborough.
Just limped into the pit. You can see the right side of his car as Leroy came in here about an
Looks
hour
like he
ago
hit the wall.
after running very well behind Richard Petty. Leroy was the only one of the cars here which had practiced on this track yesterday. As we said, it's a brand new track.
And for those tuning in right now, thank y'all so much for watching the stream and tuning in. I hope y'all are enjoying it. Make sure to hit the like and subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube.
In Maryville, Tennessee, some 200 miles away. So Leroy was very well set up for the race. It was going well, but then
Appreciate y'all's support.
It turned out this was the end
And
of the
yeah,
afternoon.
this is interesting. So if you look at the pit road here at Nashville, there's no pit lane at the time. You basically just go into what appears to be the garage area. It's very interesting, to say the least, because I've never watched a race at Nashville from this time period until now, and it's way different. Way different.
I asked you what happened out there. Oh, excuse me, Don. I couldn't hardly hear with all the noise. I blew it right front going in the third corner, and it just mangled the car up bad enough. It put me out
Yeah,
of the
blue
race.
tire hit the wall.
Leroy Yarborough out in the race. Back to you, Jim.
Okay, well, that was the official word from Leroy on why he dropped out of the race, as we saw earlier with the right side of his car scraped up. I said earlier...
I wonder how many laps Leroy led before that.
From Chris now on a race that had continually changing aspects.
Jim, getting back to Leroy for just a moment, his qualifying time of 18.802 seconds on this track reflected a speed of 119.681 miles an hour, by far and away the fastest speed ever achieved.
Oh,
on
nice
a
aerial
track,
view there.
5/8-mile
You can
track
see the
of this size.
entire
Really moving.
facility.
Leroy's out, and as you said earlier, Richard
Yeah,
Petty
it's
had
definitely
his problems
changed a
and has been
lot.
knocked out of it too. Right now, Bobby Isaac at number 71 is cruising along in front.
Okay, well, you mentioned that Richard Petty, who took over the lead...
I wish they would
and was
show more
cruising along,
of the other
had his
cars.
problems.
Like
Let's
the
go
only,
back on videotape now
okay.
and see
When
in
I
slow
say that,
motion
they
what
show
happened
Petty
to
here.
Richard. This was Richard between turns 3 and 4.
That must have been
Here,
early in the
this is
race
first
or
time we
something.
did
Yeah,
slow motion. He
Petty
hit the wall. Well, there you see it right
either
now.
blew a tire went
Petty
too high and
breaking
hit the
wall,
wall.
getting up too high with this very low guardrail that they have here. It's just about 2.5 feet high. It didn't look too serious, but as it turned out, he came in once, came in again. You can see the side of the car there is scraped up. So let's find out what really happened. Let's go down live to Dr. Don Carr
We
again.
was leading the race, everything going real good, and went in the third corner and blew a right front tire. And
Yep.
When it did, it messed up the A-frames, and we tried to fix it 2 or 3 times, but the steering was messed up. We couldn't do nothing for it.
How's the heat out there, Richard?
Well, it was pretty hot, but it looked like it's cooled off a little bit now. But the sun was out, and it was real hot. But I think that we've been able to make it today because
The King, Richard
like I said,
Petty.
the
He
sun
won
is
a.
going in and out, so I
He
think it's
had an
okay.
incredible 1970 season.
Back to you,
He did
Jim.
miss some races, obviously,
Okay,
because of his
thank you very
Darlington
much,
wreck,
Don,
and then
and
he had to have
Richard Petty.
surgery
So
on
it's
his
kind of
finger,
both
and
of
he,
the early leaders dropped
yeah,
out.
he didn't win the championship in 1970, but he definitely had an amazing season, though. Despite, I mean, if you've watched my video I did on the 1970 Rebel 400, I explained how the rest of the season went, basically. After the crash, and mentioned Petty's, I showed Petty's stats and Isaac's stats. Isaac had a fantastic year in 1970, but Petty, if he hadn't had that wreck, I mean, he very possibly could have won the championship.
Robert Vance Bobby Isaac of Catawba, North Carolina. He'll be 36 years old on August 1st this year. He came on the Grand National Trail in the year 1961 and had won
Cars
only
out of
4
the race.
races up
Dick
to last
Brooks
season.
in the
Then
32,
suddenly, he
James
exploded.
Hilden,
He won 17
J.C.
races
Spencer,
last year.
49,
Here's some of the cars out of
Parsons.
the race
They
so
put
far.
Parsons.
32,
Dick
Brooks,
Bound in the
who's rookie of the
02.
year, spun in the straightaway in the early
Ray
going.
Williams,
James Hilton
Earl
into
Brooks,
1
Henley
out.
Gray.
Leroy
Some of
Yarborough,
these guys I've
Early
heard of, but
Spencer
I'm
on
not
the
too
first lap.
familiar with.
Benny
Like, I don't know
Parsons,
as much about them.
lost a wheel, and the wheel
Ron
was about a half a lap
Keselowski.
without him as he limped into the pit. Dick
It's a
Bowman
lot
very
of
well
cars out of the
from
race.
Oregon
Elmo
dropped
Langley,
out.
we
Ray
saw
Williams
him
is out.
at
Earl
one
Brooks is
point.
out. So is Henley Gray, Charlie Roberts, John Halford, Ron Keselowski,
Don't know
Elmo
who
Langley,
R-May is.
Ed Negray, Richard
John
Petty, of
Steers
course,
in the
so that's
4,
Roy.
Arrington in the 5,
May,
Wendell
Steers,
Scott filled in.
Harrington,
This is
Concord,
crazy.
Bill Bennett,
It's
Wendell
still
Johnson,
going.
Friday Hassler,
Okay,
who
Friday
led at one
Hassler
point
to
in the race
39,
and
Bill
was a
Champion
big
at
favorite
10.
here,
Yeah,
is
there's
out at
a
the
lot
other
of
two
cars
drivers
out of
as
the
well.
race, so
Ray Williams
it would take, basically take, you know, something happening to
Okay,
Isaac
the live
for
action
him to lose
continues,
this
and we'll be
race.
back
I
in a
mean,
minute.
he's Bobby Allison's in second, but I don't know how many laps down he is, or if he is lap down or not. I haven't seen him at all. Saw Marcus at one point, but he was getting lapped by Isaac.
Again, we're back at Nashville, Tennessee, and still, Bobby Isaac cruises along 1 lap in front of Bobby Allison in the 250-mile lap.
Okay, so he's 1 lap ahead of Allison.
We're about halfway through the proceedings right now.
Okay, so we're halfway through the race. Okay. So they must have started the broadcast like about 40, 50 laps ago. They obviously had some video of the start, which we saw at one point, so that was cool.
When we did our last NASCAR race in
And they showed the
2 weeks
replays of
ago,
Leroy Yarborough and Petty's
on
wreck.
these broadcasts, Bob Montgomery was in the hospital and was ill. Bob, in
What?
fact, had suffered 2 heart attacks. Not too long after that, he was released from the hospital and then had another heart attack which proved to be fatal.
Oh,
Bob
wow.
Montgomery, at the age of 45, died just 8 days ago. I didn't really know him too well. He had worked with us just for, about 5 or 6 months before his
Well, that took a
One thing I will
a
remember, however,
turn there. I did not expect that.
this spring in Darlington,
I was like, oh, they're
when it
just
appeared that
oh
Richard
no,
Petty
someone passed away.
might have been seriously, very seriously injured in a crash. It was a difficult job for Bob to report from the track hospital to try to talk to Richard's father, his brother, and other members of his pit crew. On that occasion, I was struck by the fact that he did a real
And there's a
solid
car
job of
going
reporting,
down.
but also did
It's
it
the
in a
infield
very
there for
human way.
Appears
We
to
will
be
miss, and
pit
everyone in
service
racing
there.
will miss Bob Montgomery.
Yeah.
Oh, Bobby Isaac, number 71, tours the high banks. Cuckoo Marlin.
This is my first time again watching NASCAR at the Nashville Fairgrounds. I've seen like ARCA. I'm pretty sure I've seen either ARCA or an old Busch race there. I know I've seen some clips of other series running at the National Fairgrounds, but not the Cup Series.
Bobby Allison and Dave Marcus. Dodge Cars own the top 4 positions. Cecil Gordon in a 68 Ford is 5th, so it looks like a big day for the
Cecil
Dodge
Gordon's
boys.
in 5th.
Isaac is driving a track very cautiously now. The clouds have come overhead, obscured the sun.
Just very cautiously. I mean, he's literally just blowing by everybody.
Humid, and this, of course, created to a high track temperature, 240-some degrees earlier today, or rather 140-some degrees earlier today, and close
Wow.
to 100 degrees ambient temperature, but the temperature now has cooled
that's
down,
crazy.
as has the pace out here on this fairground speedway.
For those watching right now, let me know your thoughts on the Nashville Fairgrounds and what you think about what the track looked like back then. I mean, it's definitely changed a lot. And there's obviously been Bobby Allison, the other Bobby. I haven't seen him until now. He seems to be going about almost the same speed as Isaac, but we'll see if he can get his lap back or not.
A very close position on this track. Remember, the laps are being turned in less than 20 seconds, and the spread between second and third place is 6 laps. Marcus in third is 6 laps.
Is that Castles getting lapped again? No 6.
Laps behind is Neil Castles in number 06. And Castles right now is going to the pits, and Isaac is on the clock right now, coming up on 10 seconds midway down the backstretch.
Yes, we're going to time this lap, and these lap times are very quick here, something probably just over 20 seconds. Oh, now we've lost the clock on this one.
And that's Allison in number 22 heading.
Yeah, I was about to say, it looked like Allison was going to get lapped there. Maybe he's coming into the pits.
51.53, and that works out to a speed of 104.5 miles per hour. Pretty fast on a 5 extra mile track.
You just saw a glimpse of Bobby Allison going to the pits with a left front tire flat. And we have a unique situation here. Tire failures in racing are historically.
Okay, so he had a flat tire. Yeah, you see all the cars in the infield there. Some of those were probably some of those that went out earlier in the race.
Situation. The 5/8 mile track has a little 5th mile oval inside of it. And the pits are on the 5th mile racetrack. The drivers make a sharp left turn past the start-finish line.
Yeah, this is a really interesting pit lane, to say the least. I think it's pretty cool to...
Left turn right now and come out onto the straightaway of the 5/8 mile track.
Yeah, this is
different than any other racetrack.
Yeah, I wonder how many other tracks had that in the 60s and early 70s. I mean, I'm not too familiar with every single track that they ran in 1970 season. Still learning, obviously, but I think that's quite interesting, to say the least. So if y'all do know, let me know in the comments.
7-pound crash helmets are making their heads loll over on their right shoulder and straining the left side neck muscle. Incidentally, that pit stop that Bobby Allison just made in car number 22, he did not lose second place. Remember now, he has 6 laps over Dave Marcus at number 30. And now
wow, 6 laps over Marcus. Marcus, I think, is in third, too. That's crazy. But I'm not really surprised, though, because short track racing back then, you know, you could finish like 5th and be like 20 laps down. Like, I'm not even surprised, honestly. McDuffie in the 70s, there's probably like 30 laps down, to be honest. I wouldn't be surprised. And I guess they fast forwarded there, and the crew members couldn't get the gas cap on that car right there, just trying to desperately to get it on. Now he can go away back onto the track. As I don't know what I was saying there. I was having an English moment. But yeah, I think the Jay Thomas was just on the screen there in the 25 car, and I'm surprised they're not even showing hardly any of the other cars. They're just showing Isaac. They're not showing. I mean, they did show Allison at one point. They showed Petty and Yarborough, but they haven't shown like Marcus or Castles hardly at all, and any of the other cars in the top 10. I'm interested in seeing what the top 10 is, but we probably won't know that, to be honest with you. I mean, this is early broadcast days for NASCAR, and I'm not really surprised, but one video I will say, if y'all haven't watched the 1970 Talladega race, the first one that Pete Hamilton won, the Alabama 500, if you haven't watched that, go check that out. It's pretty cool, and it's on NASCAR's channel, if I'm correct. So that's some rare footage right there, as well as this. This is pretty rare, but that was a very interesting race, to say the least. I mean, Buddy Baker almost had that one won, and then his car caught on fire. He spun out, and Pete Hamilton ended up winning. But there's a good bit of passes in that race. And, definitely, you could see the difference between super speedway racing at the time. And then as the 70s went along, the super speedway racing became more competitive. I felt like there was a lot more 2-3 wide racing. We saw just a lot of lead changes as well as the 70s went along at the super speedway tracks.
Coming here, put up about a 36-degree bank on a 5/8 mile speedway, which nobody has never run on, and Goodyear don't even have never even run any tests on a racetrack like this to come up with a good tire. So we're just going with the tire that we run at Bristol and hoping that it'll last.
Conservative running then is going to be the story today. Is that?
My tire was quite low because this is a 250-mile race and it don't pay. Good enough to be a 250-mile race, so I don't see why I just go out and tear the equipment up that bad. I'll just lay back and run kind of like it pays, and it's slow and easy.
Right. Now, Bobby, what happens to the track after 2 hours, let's say, when 30 cars have been running around here at 120 miles an hour? Is it liable to tear the track up in heat like this?
Well, no, it won't tear it. It would be kind of hard to tear up. This is probably the biggest bike that we run on anywhere in the racing circuit, and I don't see how that any cars could tear it up. It might tear the cars up because it is rough in 1 and 2, but not the track.
Yeah, and I mean, it looked like we saw Allison go down the pit lane again, but Isaac has just been spanking the field here. Just out here, just laps ahead, but we'll see if anything changes. We got a caution.
Yeah, no accident. Cuckoo Marlin just spinning down into the red clay of the infield.
Oops, it's not Cuckoo, I'm sorry. It's number 77.
77. That's somebody else. 77
Yeah.
is in fact John.
Looks like he had a flat tire as well there. Maybe he spun and blew them out when he spun, but it doesn't look like he has any damage though really on the passenger side, which obviously there wasn't passengers in NASCAR, but you know what I mean, on the right side of the car. Saw Benny Parsons' car sitting there in the infield in the 72.
You know, Jim, the race at Maryville, Tennessee last night deprived almost all of the drivers in today's field of a lot of sleep. We checked with
I think that's one of the drivers on the bottom right with his helmet that's looking on.
3 hours, as did Dick Brooks.
He probably went out early in the race and he's there just watching.
Who was a leader a while ago, had no sleep, as did many of the other drivers who raced last night and made the long tow over here.
Okay.
There's Dave Marcus in the 30 car. He's running third.
And he is now allowed to go out on the racetrack again. Isaac in car number 71, and the yellow flag is still out.
4 wide!
He is a comfortable leader over second place, Bobby Allison.
Well, those two will be restarting near each other. I don't know about Allison. I don't know where he's at the moment, but he was in second. Oh, we got to look at the point stand. So, yeah, I remember Hilton. He was in the points lead for a good bit of the 1970 season.
However, these are the standings before last night's
Richard Petty obviously wasn't in the top 5 at the time. He had missed races because of his Darlington wreck, and then he had surgery on his finger, and he had missed starts, so he still wasn't up there yet, but he did work his way up into the top 5 standings by the end of the year.
These points are awarded in each of the races on the NASCAR Trail. It's a year-long series, and you have to run in pretty much all of the races to win that Grand National title. Now, some drivers prefer just to run in the big ones for the big money, like Pete Hamilton. Pete you would not find in the point standings any place, but he's still the leading money winner.
Is that Marcus going back into the pit road?
There's some 52 races a year on the NASCAR Grand National Circuit, and they spread the entire United States from California to Florida. One of Isaac's radiator strap brackets has broken, and apparently he'll be making another.
It looks like
while the yellow flag
Jay Thomas is in front of Isaac, and in front of Thomas is the 22 of Bobby Allison. And then Neil Castles is behind Isaac here on the pace car.
Is to stay in the same lap without losing any appreciable ground, because
it's a packed house there.
You can speed up and
a lot of people.
On the tail end, and your loss is only measured in a few yards. So if Isaac's strap was not fixed on that time round, we could expect him to stop once again.
We've mentioned that there are so many of these NASCAR races during the course of the season, and we'd like to remind those of you in different areas of wide world of sports will be preempted in order that we can bring you exclusive color coverage of the 250.
The same question.
They fight behind Bob, and
Yeah, Allison's back in.
There is Bobby.
Let's go to restart.
It generates a lot of heat. It requires tires out here and graze the wall as well.
Alright, so back green.
Here comes the green flag. They're racing.
They must have ran under caution for about 15 laps there. See if Marcus can get a lap back on Isaac. I don't think he has the engine to do it. I mean, or the car to do it. I mean, he's running pretty fast. It's just Isaac is just ever since Leroy Yarborough and Petty went out of the race, it seems like Isaac's just been the dominant car, and there's Allison in second. Maybe he might have fell to third. I mean, honestly, because he pitted like twice before the caution came out, and then he pitted under caution, so he probably did lose a couple more laps.
With only 6 laps to go, appeared to have no problems at all when suddenly a tire blew on him. So, a good many changes could take place here before the finish of this race. Isaac, at the moment, however, is the leader, the man who is also going to be leading at the end of this day for the NASCAR Grand National Point Championship for this year, 1970.
Dodge cars, Jim, are in the first 4 positions, and a 1968 Ford, rather old by Grand National standards, lies in 5th place. But the surprise car of the meeting was that old Chevelle driven by Friday Hassler that seemed
for those tuning in right now, thank y'all so much for watching. I appreciate it. And let me know what you think about the Nashville Fairgrounds in 1970. I mean, it's definitely changed. And would you like to see NASCAR come back to the fairgrounds? Let me know in the comments or in the chat. Interested in seeing your thoughts. If you haven't yet, please hit the like button, subscribe, and man, it's definitely been well, I hit 1K about, looks like Isaac let Marcus by there, but as I was saying, I hit 1K a couple weeks ago, and I'm just so thankful. I mean, it's been a huge goal of mine ever since I started, and I haven't been as consistent, obviously, because of work, but whenever I do put out content, you know, I try the best I can with it, and some videos, obviously, I put more effort into, but I appreciate y'all's support, and for the Try the Lap video, I mean, that turned out really well. Had a lot of entries for that, and Evan ended up winning the Try Not the Lap challenge, so he won the prize, but yeah, thank y'all for your participation in that as well. Oh, is this an interview with Allison? He's wearing an STP hat.
Do you get the same type of sensation running through the turns at this track in Nashville as you do down at Talladega?
Well, I would say not really, Don. Of course, you've run at Talladega, and you know down there that even though we did have some early problem with some bumps were pavement bumps. You know, in other words, you go over a bump and then you travel several hundred feet on good pavement. And here, the real high bank, instead of just holding the car where you can go fast speeds, it's kind of like running in a motorcycle barrel. You know, you just run up against the wall and it turns you and you go the other way.
Okay, well, those were the pre-race comments of Bobby Allison, played against the live picture of
Bobby Allison, as y'all know, is one of my favorite drivers in NASCAR history. It looked like he was gaining there on Isaac a little bit, then Isaac stretched it out again a little bit. Oh, here he goes. He got a huge run. I think Isaac's just letting him by, to be honest, but that was a huge run on the backstretch to get by.
It does make you begin to wonder whether Bobby Isaac could be having some problem inside that racing.
Yeah, that's what McKay's saying. Like, there could be something going wrong with Isaac, or he could just be chilling. I mean, Isaac does have a couple lap lead. I don't know how many laps ahead he is, but he is ahead by a couple laps. So maybe he is taking it a little easy. But Allison just flew by him right there on the backstretch. And Marcus had passed Isaac about 10 laps ago.
It's highly unlikely that we allow him to gain a lap on him. The track is almost free of traffic now, only 11 cars on it. He can pick his groove.
11 cars on the track, so wow. I wonder how many we'll have at the end of the race. I mean, that's just crazy. Only 11 cars.
With Allison, whose car seems to be extremely healthy, however, making pit stops a little more frequently. It may be that Isaac is trying to save his tires and get through to the checker flag with one less.
That's a good point there. He could be just saving his tires.
Well, these are the things we'll be finding out here as the race proceeds live to its finish. 420 lap or 250-mile race on this 5/8 of a mile track. Highest banking in the world in Nashville, Tennessee. It is so hot, and yet the enthusiasm for racing in this town is almost unbelievable. More, I think, than almost any place I've seen.
Yeah, I'm not surprised, honestly, about the hot temperatures. I mean, it is in the middle of summer and just over the halfway point of the season, so I'm not surprised by the heat. And here right now in Charlotte, it's been raining like the last couple of days, and mainly throughout the southeast. I saw there's like a video of like a tornado in Florida.
Here is a look at the crowd of approximately 20,000 people gathered here in Nashville.
It looks more than that, to be honest with you. It doesn't look like there's a single seat that's not filled.
52 races a year here. In fact, they tell us that they drew more paid admissions here last year than they did on the big track at Daytona. The main reason being that they have so many races here. But this is the only day of the year when they have the big NASCAR.
One thing I will say, like, sometimes I'll obviously post, like, you know, photos and videos from the 1960s and 70s and 80s and, you know, pre-2000s races on Facebook. I'll talk about like my thoughts on the races, and, you know, I'll share that, hey, I'm doing race reaction wherever we're going to. And there's actually been like, you know, people messaging me or commenting on the post like, hey, like we were at that race, and I just think that's so cool. And then I'm like, you know, some of them I've asked like, hey, what did you think about the race you saw in person? What was it like? And it really makes me like, you know, be like, man, I wish I could actually see this in real life, or see this one race from then in real life that wasn't broadcasted on TV, you know. And I mean, in general too, I mean, I would have loved to see the Plymouth Supers and Dodge Daytonas racing in real life. I've seen them in person before, not racing. Yeah, you've been so cool to see like Riverside International Raceway in person. Trenton is one I think of. Ontario is another track that Ontario is a great track of passing. As I've recently watched a race from 1977 there. That reaction to my channel, if you haven't yet, go check that out. But yeah, it's just a lot of interesting tracks NASCAR has had in the past, like Okanichi Speedway. There's a lot of them that are not as well known, but just crazy thing about Augusta International Raceway. I think it was a road course in Georgia. That one was very interesting. I've read up on that and looked at pictures of it. Even though it's not really NASCAR, the Monza Oval, the high banking on that is just insane, and the speeds that they went and did there. I could only, like, I mean, I would probably be terrified to run that track. And I'm not one that's ever scared to drop. I would probably be terrified to run that track because, I mean, they have a wall. If I'm correct, they didn't really have a wall on some of those turns. And imagine if you just flew off the side of it. It'd be so scary. But back to the race. I know I went a little bit of a ramble there.
He is just a few feet ahead of the first place car. So he's almost 3 laps behind.
Voice is a little sore today. I played basketball, so I kind of lost my voice a little bit, but I hope y'all can still hear me fine. Hopefully the audio is not messed up. I mean, I did an audio test, so we should be
an extra pit stop very quickly. We're going to try to get a lap time again on Bobby Isaac to see exactly how much he has slowed down, if in fact he has slowed down. Last time we got him, it was somewhere about 104.5 miles an hour.
Isaac, you would think Allison pull away a little bit, but Isaac's still behind him pretty close.
Here he comes, coming out of turn 4 already. And there, 21.19. He's still going fast.
I've been noticing the 79 cars have been getting lapped a lot.
He was the last
I forgot who was driving the 79 in 1970, so we'll look at that after the race. But there's Cecil Gordon in the 24. There's McDuffie in the 70. Oh, we got a car around. I think he said Marcus. Oh, wow, yeah, he definitely nailed the wall there. It's a lot of damage for Dave Marcus.
That's the driver from Wisconsin. He wrapped the backstretch wall coming off, and that.
That's such a
Dodge,
shame
tough
for
break
Marcus. He
that
was
fellow
running in the
Franklin.
top 5, and he's currently top 5 in the point standings as well. But coming from Wisconsin too, I'm sure. I don't know how many backup cars he has, but definitely is. Being an independent driver doesn't. It definitely does hurt the race. And he was an independent driver for a good bit of years. I know James Holden was as well.
Into the $500 category with this unfortunate incident. He's okay.
Calling for a tow truck, obviously, or something. Like some people to come help out. Looks like he was fine though. He's moving around in the car.
Exhausted, sitting in there.
You know, it's a unique situation, Jim. That for the
probably
next
blew
9
a tire
laps,
and hit the
he'll
wall
still
at
be
turn
third.
2. That's
If
what
the
I
rainstorm
assume
should
is
stop
what
the
happened.
race right now, he would be credited with 3rd place.
I think perhaps they've called for the ambulance. It is now preparing to go out on the racetrack. They had already called for the tow truck, and now you see them waving with some urgency. It may be plain old heat frustration. There is the ambulance on the racetrack. He'll have to go all the way around through turns 1 and 2, the backstretch, and then go down into the infield to pick up Dave Marcus. As we said, when he first stopped, you could see him moving around inside the car. I thought I saw him start to take his helmet off.
It's interesting to look at ambulance
they
there.
started calling for help.
I watched him loosen his shoulder harness. He threw them back over his shoulder.
Does it say Ellie on the side of it or Ellis?
Okay, but as you say, this oppressive heat today is very tough on these drivers. One driver, Ed Negre, who started the race, he's a car owner, he's a driver, and he's a chief mechanic.
I don't think Marcus has gone out of the car yet.
2 nights prior to the start of today's race, so it's been a strenuous day. Marcus told me before the race that he got just 3 hours sleep. 3 hours sleep before the contest began today.
Yeah, I think we should explain one apparently grisly detail, and that is that the ambulance has funeral.
There's a lot of people
Dave
around
Marcus
the car.
is far from having passed away. Just to make that thing very clear, Dave is apparently either injured or suffering from heat frustration. The funeral home here has provided the ambulance service for the racetrack.
The accident, incidentally, was a wall-smacking incident coming off of turn 1. He hit the cement wall on the outside of the track and damaged the right side of the car and came to a stop in the turn between turns 3 and 4 at the bottom of the track.
Hopefully Marcus was okay. I mean, I don't know, like, how, like, I mean, he was moving around, so I don't think it's anything, it was obviously anything serious,
to negotiate at high speed.
Maybe they're just taking to see if he, maybe he was injured a little bit, we don't know.
And taking on whatever other material they may need. Right now, Bobby Allison is in.
Well, right now, we're still looking at this scene, and I still don't see Dave Marcus. You know, earlier today, I was talking to Benny Parsons, one of the other drivers, and I asked him what form this fatigue takes out there. I said, do you get sick in your stomach or dizzy or what? He said, no, more often it would be something like just coming off.
Maybe he's gonna just go get looked at.
Just didn't have the strength.
He's already in
That could have been what happened to Dave
ambulance
Marcus.
there.
They now put him on the stretcher into the ambulance. No injuries. That can be.
Yeah, I'd assume it definitely is pretty hard to get,
if we had to guess
because if you just look at the right front,
we'll try to find out.
probably blew a tire or something that went straight on into the wall. I'm pretty sure that's what they said.
There's more
That's what it looked like it would be.
In another minute.
Skip ahead, but there's Nashville. Oh, there's roller coaster right there.
Kansas City Chiefs, winners of the Super Bowl, take on the best boy.
Boy, not used to the southern climb. We might add that before the race, Cecil Gordon, who is now in, it was a quick pit stop. They got under the car. They may have changed the chassis setting just a little bit.
Okay, so Allison's in pit road.
And they have to do these things in something under 30 seconds in order to get the car back
Still
out
under
of the
yellow.
racetrack again before the rest of the went on a Nashville, Tennessee.
Alright, should be going back green. Yep.
Number 71 is Bobby
So Neil Castle's up there in the restart. He got a horrible jump. And Cecil Gordon's underneath Isaac. Isaac's going to clear him pretty easily. There's Bobby Allison right behind Isaac. Allison should be second now since Marcus wrecked. Marcus was running second.
You know, I've often thought when we're at one of these grueling little NASCAR tracks like this one on a hot day.
Ooh, Allison's on his tail. He's going to make the pass. So he gets another lap back. Don't know how many he is down, but he definitely was a couple.
Something has to happen.
I hope that doesn't happened today. We've got a good one going now with Isaac.
I don't know if Isaac hit it on that caution, so Allison may have the better tires here.
Coming down just ahead of leader Bobby Isaac and number 71, both driving 1969 Dodges.
Okay, but should number 71 there pass 22, it will again be 3 laps for the lead.
Looks like the sun came out. You can just tell by the glare there on the camera.
Pretty much the way
It was
Isaac
cloudy.
Bobby Allison
Now the
before
sun
yellow
must
flag came
start
out
coming
this
back
past time
out.
when Dave Marcus's crash into the wall. Just keeping him in sight, staying right behind him, holding him where he wants him. A report from the pits now from Dr. Don Tarr.
We got a report.
Very significant thing. Bobby Isaac, who was 5 laps down earlier in the race, I went over to his pit crew, and I talked to Harry Hyde, and I asked him, Harry, what's the matter with Bobby? Is he having problems? And Harry said, no, Don, he's cooling it. He says, we expect everybody else to have their problems. We're going to cool it, and we're going to come out on top. That's it from the pits, Jim.
Okay, well, there
And that was a reporter there, Dr. Don Tarr. And for those that don't know, Dr. Don Tarr actually made some cup starts. I think he obviously drove the 36 car and the 37 car. But I never knew that he was a part of broadcasting, so that is very interesting. And I'm quite surprised when they said his name. I was like, wait a minute, that's actually Dr. Don Tarr. I didn't realize he was he ever got any broadcasting experience. He was an analyst. That's pretty interesting. So I have to look more into that. But looks like Allison is stretched his advantage over Isaac. Should be less than 100 to go here, if I'm correct.
Way to the hospital, and the further report on Dave was that when in the ambulance, he was feeling fine. He said heat exhaustion wearing off a little bit apparently already, but he had sore ribs.
Okay. For those watching right now, they did mention the 69 Dodges. Let me know your thoughts on the Dodge Daytonas and Plymouth Superbirds, even though those cars were not in this race. Let me know your thoughts on those, because let me know whether you like the Daytonas more or the Superbirds more. I'd like to see y'all's opinions on that. See which one y'all prefer. Obviously, I love the Winged Warriors, and wish they had some more years in NASCAR. They never had much of a chance. I mean, they did run in the Talladega race in 1969, and then the first race for Plymouth Super was the 1970 race at Riverside, the first race of the Grand National season, and then the Plymouth Superbird's last appearance in NASCAR was at Rockingham in 1970. The last race for the Dodge Daytona was in the 1971 Daytona 500.
Pit crew told Don Tarr, because he is not chasing Bobby Allison with too much verve at the moment. Although it looks like maybe he wants to close it up a bit. Remember, he has a 2-lap and almost another lap lead on Bobby Allison.
Okay, so he's ahead by 2 laps. Okay.
Were he able to do that, he'd have a real good shot at a pit stop.
I thought it was like 3 or 4, but hey, it's close. I mean, if Isaac hits on the green, Allison can very well take the lead.
From gaining another full lap.
Looked like Allison almost hit the wall as he passes Jake Thomas.
Just holding his now increased margin over Isaac, but not moving it away anymore. The speeds here on this
the amount of screen time that Isaac is getting in this race is insane. Like, I will say, if this was like now, 2023, and they were focusing the cameras on this on a one driver this many times, I can't describe. Like, there's just gonna be so much like tweets and people complaining to NASCAR. It would be insane. Like, people would just complain over it a lot.
The Tennessee sun continues to broil down on the racetrack.
I can only imagine seeing the comments. People are like, why are you always showing blah 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 blah, just complaining like this is bias, this is rude. People be like, but anyways, I think they're showing right now cars left in the race. Cuckoo Marlin, I've never heard of Eddie. Barely even see now because of the sun glare. Yeah, so I didn't even see all of them, unfortunately, but if y'all could probably rewind. I'll look at it later. We'll see obviously in the race results who finished where.
Take away some of that ground between him and Bobby
Yeah,
Isaac
you
at
can
the
see
moment.
how much Isaac
Third
turned the
place is
wheel.
Neil
It definitely
who is 21 laps
seems to
behind.
be a complicated
Fourth place,
track,
Gordon,
to
is
say the least. I
22
mean,
laps back.
it looks so
And
fun.
fifth
Like,
place
I'd
is
love to
Cuckoo
run
Marlin,
at Nashville
car number
Fairgrounds.
07,
Like, it
27
looks like
laps
such a
behind.
fun track, and with
Ray
that
Williams
banking
driving
and
relief now is Chris.
just turning the wheel all the way
Ray
over.
Williams
You see,
in relief for
Isaac had
Gordon, who's in fourth place.
turned the
Fifth
wheel
place,
quite a
James
lot
Buffett
there.
in
Even
car
on the
number 7, in
backstretch,
seventh
it looks
place,
like he's
number
even
76,
turning a little bit to the
Ben
right
Arnold.
on the backstretch.
And Cuckoo Marlin has decided to come into fifth at the moment, but there is the leader, Bobby Isaac. Isaac, remember, at the end of this day, will be the point leader in the Grand National season-long championship chase.
Oh,
There
so
is Bobby
Isaac's
Allison.
taking the
Still
points
trying to
lead, I
pull it
think
out
is what they just
on
said.
Bobby Isaac, but I think Isaac's just trying to keep him in sight. That's the way it looks. There's a relationship. There is Isaac. You see how far he is behind Allison. But remember, he is the leader. We're just trying
He's
to
behind
indicate
by
to you how
about
Bobby
3
Allison is trying to
seconds,
pull
4
away
seconds.
from Isaac, conceivably to unlap himself yet another lap and be only 1 lap plus behind. So far, though, Isaac, it looks like, is just sitting there, keeping him in his sights.
You know, the Music City has said its representative.
I love this backstretch shot here.
Is an interested pit visitor.
I think
As is
it's
Marty
really
Robbins,
cool.
who, until
I
a
wish
heart
they would
attack,
show
used to
more
drive occasionally
on the I mean, they have plenty of cameras. Don't get me wrong, with NBC and Fox, I think that their camera angles are good, but I wish they had some more closer up shots, like down the backstretch. And at Talladega, the one that they used at Talladega in the 90s, in early 2000s, I wish they would have kept that camera angle. But they don't really show that one anymore. I don't know if there's a particular reason why they stopped doing that or not.
Although he sure has to be plenty tired.
Random thoughts with people.
Running down the standings a little bit further. In 8th place, number 25, James Thomas. Gwendolyn in relief.
Wendell Scott, the color driver, Jim, is handling the car for Jabe Thomas right now, who was bitten by the heat a little bit earlier.
And 03 is 9th. That's Eddie Yarbrough, who we said to the other.
Eddie Yarbrough's 03. And I don't think he's obviously, I don't think he's related to Tail or Leroy. I mean, the last name looked different from what we saw on the screen a couple minutes ago.
And they've been out there a long time. Can you imagine making 1,680 turns? That's what they're doing. 4 turns on the track, and they negotiated 420
Just tuning in right now. Thank y'all so much for watching. I appreciate it. And let me know your thoughts down below in the comments or in the chat. It's definitely been a one-car show, pretty much this entire broadcast. But definitely is interesting. I mean, they've done a pretty solid job considering like the time period of explaining what went on early in the race and showing some of the highlights before like the start and then a couple of the wrecks that happened. And yeah, I've learned a lot from this race watching it. I've learned a lot. I did not know what to expect going into this because I've never watched a NASCAR race at Nashville before, so a Cup race at Nashville before. So this is very interesting to me. Maybe I'll watch some more at the fairgrounds. Maybe they have a broadcast of the race in the 80s from the fairgrounds. I'll definitely love to watch that and see the difference between 1970 and 1980 at this track.
See if his speed is down significantly. He's been going 105, 106 miles an hour when we've timed him before. Here he comes on these very quick laps on the short course.
Okay, so he basically gained a second compared to his lap time earlier. So it looks like he's been saving his tires a little bit, but at the same time he's upped his speed at times.
And again, we'll be back in a minute.
I mean, it's not like he's going. I don't think he's going like full, all on out, because he has such a big lead.
Nashville, Tennessee, the Fairgrounds Speedway, and Bobby Isaac of Catawba, North Carolina, continues to cruise out in front, about 2.5 laps in front of Bobby Allison. They are short laps here, remember.
He definitely has a technique of turning this track. He's on the straights, on the back, he's like this, and then the corners,
but not by very much.
He's definitely turning the wheel pretty hard. I mean, you have to at tracks like this.
Normal racing here. He's got to hope for some kind of a break.
The caution out or something? Look like they're going slower.
Isaac, about 111 and a half miles
I guess
an hour,
not.
which is very fast. You just get another lap time?
Jim, we just took a clocking on Bobby Allison, who turned the track in exactly 20 and a half seconds. On the very same lap, Isaac turned in 21 and a half seconds. So Allison turned the track a full second faster last time around.
Wow.
Isaac. I think Bobby is like a track star starting his kick.
It could be, and that, as we say, is tremendous speed, and obviously Isaac does not feel that he is able to cool it to any significant
Hey, maybe
extent.
Allison can catch Isaac here. Get another lap back. We'll see. I mean, he's definitely moving.
Okay, well, here is Allison. We're going to get a visual lap timing on him right now this time. See exactly how fast he's going. He's moving all right, and this, as I said earlier, is
Yeah, it looks so much fun to run there, but the high banking and going up and then going down, and it looks like such a fun track to drive. I've ridden and driven on Rockingham Speedway, and there's different. It's obviously a bigger track than the fairgrounds, but that was so fun to run. And Rockingham, you know, Stockton Classics event there this past weekend, and with the MB Drift Series, and Rockingham Speedway, it's still alive. I mean, there's a lot of events going on at Rockingham throughout the last 2 years, and man, I'd love it, NASCAR to go back there, and I'm sure a lot of other people would too.
The drivers that raced last night at Maryville, Jim, and raced here today say they're going to drive over to Atlanta tonight and sleep until qualifying for the Atlanta 500 begins on Thursday.
Boy, I bet they will. We might explain that the reason they raced last night.
Looks like some people are moving around at the bottom of the grandstands. I don't know if they're leaving or staying or what they're doing there.
It rained over there, so it was postponed until last night. So race they did, all of them except Leroy Yarborough, who came here early. He doesn't normally drive on a smaller track. Came here early in practice yesterday. They all raced last night, then had to drive 220 miles to here, and then start setting up their cars, getting ready for practice and qualifying in a race.
Another driver who passed up the Maryville race was Cuckoo Marlin. There's none of his constituents over there, Jim.
That's right, the local politician. Cuckoo told us, by the way, as we've often wondered, so we finally asked, why in the world a man would be called Cuckoo? And he said when he's a little boy, his name is Clifton.
The 03's got to be at least 100 or so laps down. He's just getting passed in lap like every 2 laps. There's the 07 of Cuckoo Marlin. I'm glad they finally showed a different driver. Like,
nickname not descriptive at all.
I mean, they've been just showing Allison and Isaac like throughout most of the entire race. So I'm glad they're showing a different driver. Folks down here. Yo, it looks like a little bit of smoke at one point coming out of the underneath the Marlin car.
In the corner. If we stay on this shot, perhaps we can see it. And this is an indication why the left front tires are going. It's scuffing off. There's smoke coming from his tires.
Okay, so he is smoking. I was not tripping. He is smoking.
Aware of this situation, but he's treading right now on thin ice with those tires. There's smoke coming off the left front tire on the number 07 car handled by Tennessee's own Cuckoo Marlin.
It might be worth watching Cuckoo here for a little bit because the battle up front remains the same. Bobby Isaac about 2.5 laps in front of Bobby Allison. 20 laps to go in the race.
It looks a little bit surprising to me that his
I think he said 20 laps to go.
Down with that smoke showing from the left front wheel in the bank turns here.
Yeah, Marlin, I don't know if he wants to risk not pitting because we've seen a bunch of other cars in this race with tire failures and they go straight into the wall. So Marcus hit the wall pretty hard. We saw Leroy Yarborough the wall from a tire failure. We also saw Richard Petty. Yeah, Marlin's about to get lapped again.
And there's the leader, Bobby Isaac.
Is that the 03 getting lapped down again? That's crazy.
Shot, you can get an idea of exactly how fast they're going on this short racetrack. It's really tremendous to be able to race under racing conditions at 112 miles an hour on a 5/8 of a mile track. Okay, we'll be coming back.
So Neil Castles is the third. I haven't seen him much in this race. We saw him we've seen him on the restarts and occasionally, but not very often.
Here's Bobby Isaac with 14 laps left to go in this
14 to go.
mile race in Nashville, Tennessee. He is the leader by 2.5 laps over Bobby Allison. In the pits is
there's Marlin. That's who I was saying. He needs to come to pit road, and they make the tire change.
That tire. We have a further report of
looks like he's throwing cup out of the car just getting a drink there, which I'm honestly getting thirsty as well right now. Like my mouth is just so dry.
With his new tires, and we're glad to see that he's much safer and more comfortable out there now. There are still just 9 cars remaining in this race.
9 cars remaining in the race. That's crazy.
Jim, some people
considering how many had started, that's just. I mean, I'm not surprised though. I'm not surprised. I'm not saying that it's shocking, but I'm just it just, you know, a lot of the races I've reacted to, there's not this many cars like this not. What am I saying? English moment. There's never been this less of amount of cars on the track at once. Because most of the races I've watched, like race reactions I've done a lot of them, but probably like before this one, there was one race I reacted to that probably had like 15 or 14 laps in the race. But this one, there's only 9.
Will be the sure sign that there is just 1 lap to go for the leader. That won't be very long now as we approach the finish of a 250-mile race in Nashville. There's the second-place car of Bobby Allison of the Racing Allison Brothers from Alabama. Hueytown, Alabama, to be specific. Bobby is the older of the two, 32 years old, and one of the top NASCAR drivers. He's won 16 races in his Grand National career. It started back in 1961. However, he had just a few races in 1961, then dropped out until 1965. But he's been a regular on the tour since 1965. He won a total of $197,000 in his career.
He's one of those drivers, Jim, that really had it tough getting his first big victory. He was on the circuit, had fine cars, and moved around from one stable to the other.
There's no passes in those 6.
It looked as though he was going to be one of those athletes that never made
currently
it.
in 3rd.
And then finally, he started pushing through and getting the checkered flags, and he's today one of NASCAR's top stars.
And again, we see the roller coaster background.
Yeah, that roller coaster is pretty huge.
Track here with the carousel pits. Nashville, Tennessee. Look at that 35-degree banking. That is really something. You stand at the top of that, you can't believe it, can you, Chris?
This is like the, I wouldn't say it's like Bristol, but the banking's very similar to Bristol.
35 or 40 feet down. And if he gets any kind of elevation, he might wind up in a municipal swimming pool that's over there.
Less than 5 laps to go in the race now, and Bobby Isaac looks like a winner. Taking his lap speed down now.
Yeah, he's pretty much got it in the bag as long as he doesn't,
he can afford to let Bobby Allison,
you know, make a mistake.
Allison now is about 300 yards from doing that, I would say. Standing by for the white flag. It'll mean 1 lap to go for the leader, and then the checkered flag will mean victory for Bobby Isaac.
And, we'll see how many laps Isaac led as we'll look at the statistics of the race. Some of the fans, it looks like, are already leaving, but very impressive performance by Isaac, who's taking the points lead from Hilton here.
And a great stable at his command to maintain this arduous circuit that he undertakes year in and year out.
Victory getting closer and closer. The youngsters trying to break ranks and get down near the finish line to see it happen and then to get a real good look at the winner. Look from the crane camera overhead. We're near the end of a long, hot, grueling afternoon in Tennessee. Live coverage today on ABC's Wide World of Sports. The white flag is out. 1 lap.
1 to go.
And then it's all over. This is the final tour of the course for him today. The man who was most vocal before the race and saying that he didn't like the looks of the racetrack, didn't like the looks of the day, didn't like the idea he had a race last night, and he lost last night, by the way, by a half a car length to Richard Petty. He was in a real bad mood before the race, in other words. He should be happy now because there it is. There's the checkered flag. Bobby Isaac has won this Grand National.
Well, Isaac wins the Nashville 420 and pretty dominant fashion as well.
Isaac, the winner, we'll try to have a word with him when we return in a minute.
Okay, so we'll look at the interview.
Bobby Isaac, a reminder here that ABC's Wide World of Sports will not be seen next Saturday, so that we can bring you exclusive coverage of the Westchester Golf Classic from Harrison, New York. 2 weeks from today. eliminates now.
Bobby, congratulations, but you said you were going to cool it. What happened out there?
Well, thank you very much, but I did. I run slow. But like I said, the racetrack was too fast for the equipment that we have nowadays, and you see what happened to most of the cars that did run hard. Besides, it only paid about $3,200. It's one of the cheapest races we run, and I just didn't feel like that I should come here and take a chance on tearing the car all to pieces for that amount of money, so I slowed up and was fortunate enough to win it because most of the hard runners did have trouble.
Looks like everybody else had their problems, and you just came through at the end, doesn't it?
Well, that's what happens when the racetrack, I guess, when you run too hard. It puts you by the wayside.
Bobby, looks like you also lost about 10 pounds in water out there.
Well, it was pretty hot, but like I say, I run pretty conservative, and it wasn't too bad.
Do you know you're back in the Grand National, you're back champion again, the Grand National point standings?
Well, I'm leading right now, but it's a lot of races to go, and we have to wait and see what happens.
There's your winner, Jim, Bobby Isaac.
Okay, thank you very much, Don.
Well, that was quite an interesting race. If I were to give it a race rating, I'd probably give it like a 6 out of 10. There was a lot of passing, but not in among the leaders. Um, we saw how important the tires were, and I thought it was really cool to learn a lot of things about this track that I didn't even know about. And the pit road was really interesting there. It goes into the infield and back out. I thought that was really cool. Yeah, and I've always liked 70s racing, and I know I may not know as much as other people about it. I'm obviously younger, but it's very intriguing to me. So let's go ahead and look at the race results and the statistics of this race. So we'll go check that out on Racing Reference. Okay, let's go to 1970. So this was race 30. Yes, I was right. It was race 30, and this came after Maryville the day before. I'm just curious. I want to look at this one first. So the race, this happened the day before. This is at Smoky Mountain Raceway, which is still active, if I'm correct. So this race happened the day before, and they mentioned on the broadcast how Petty beat out Bobby Isaac by a car length. So, yeah, some of the guys that were in this race ended up running the next day. So let's go not to the next at this track. What am I doing, man? Okay, next race results. That's what we're looking for. Okay, so the 1970 Nashville 420, 420 laps, so that's what I thought. The race was 2 hours and 50 minutes, average speed 87 miles per hour. Only 5 lead changes, and obviously Isaac was ahead by 2 laps, but that's crazy. So Neil Castles finished 3rd place about almost 30 laps down. That is just crazy. But Isaac led 214. Friday Hassler actually led 56. I did not see him during the race, so he must have went out. Yeah, he went out before they went live. That was on lap 209. So, and he had a good run going for him, but then ignition issue took him out. Richard Petty, we saw he had blue tires at the wall. He led 134 laps. Man, yeah, look at all these cars out of the race. Only 9 to 36 cars finished. That is insane. Looking at some of the other guys, we saw Cecil Gordon finish 4th. J.D. McDuffie started 26th, finished 5th, but he finished almost 40 laps down in 5th. Cuckoo Marlin, he had that tire issue. He finishes 6th. Ben Arnold, Jabe Thomas, Eddie Yarborough. That Marcus, we saw his crash. He still finishes in the top 10. Frank Warren was a C. I wasn't sure who was driving the 79, but it is Frank Warren. Okay, so Leroy led the first 16 laps, and Hilton crashed early in the race. Did not know that. Yarborough crashed in lap 45. So Petty ended up leading the next 134 laps. So it looked like he looked like the favorite until that tire issue. Then we saw Hassler lead multiple times. Isaac ended up just dominating after Hassler went out though. So yeah, quite interesting to say the least. I I really would like to see more of the National Fairgrounds, do some more race reactions, so that just to see how much the track changes and seeing um, you know how competitive the 80s were compared to the 70s. I mean, I'm sure there's definitely been a lot more competitive races at the fairgrounds in the early 1970s. I don't think there's any footage of it though, but it was pretty cool to watch this race, and obviously one of the first telecasts of NASCAR on TV. I mean, ABC also did the Rebel 400 at Darlington that year. They did Talladega and Nashville, and I think the first one they did was at Wilkesboro. And if it wasn't Wilkesboro, I think they also had one at Greenville Pickens. So, anyways, let me know your thoughts down below. I hope y'all enjoyed this. If I said anything wrong and I was wrong, I apologize. I mean, I'm still learning about racing in the 70s. I have more of a knowledge of racing in the 2000s because I was born in 2000, but still learning, and I'm really intrigued by the history of the sport. And I consider myself a historian, even though I may not know as much as other people, but I do know a lot about NASCAR. So I hope y'all enjoyed this. If you enjoyed it, please hit the like button. Please subscribe. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. And until next time, I am out. Peace.